And a big welcome to all of you tonight on tonight's All Partner Training. I'm trying to see how I can pick on to currently be my co-host because Rachel is on her way back from a school event currently. Laura Wardell, I usually pick on Nikki or indeed Anne, and you're in the middle of them. So if I could please currently make you my co-host to let people in from the waiting room, thank you very much. So welcome to tonight's All Partner Training, all about World Book Day. So if you are very keen, you hopefully will have seen my pre-recorded video all about our World Book Day pits for 2025. And yes, so I won't talk too much on them. I will show you what they are, but there is a video. It's shorter than these ones usually. I think it's about half an hour long, talking through the different books that we'll be focusing on for this year. So if this is your first World Book Day, I thought it'd be useful just to recap what World Book Day actually is. So World Book Day is a global celebration of reading. Inconveniently, in the UK, we celebrate it on a different day to everyone else. So if you are in the UK or you work with British schools, then we celebrate it on the 6th of March. Well, it's not always the 6th of March. It's always the first Thursday in March. Sorry, I can't work out how to mute everyone. So if you could please mute yourself if you haven't already, just so there's no background noise. Oh, go back. Go back. Right. Sorry, this is not very smooth with the old every man and his dog has changed the button on absolutely everywhere. So what is World Book Day? Yes, so it's a global celebration of reading. If you are outside the UK, it's celebrated on the 23rd of April, and that is every single year, and that's consistent. If you're in the UK, it is always the first Thursday in March. In the UK, World Book Day is a registered charity, and they have a goal for every child to own their own book, and that is their main focus. So every year they bring out these books. I don't think you're supposed to refer to them as the £1 books, but I'm going to. That essentially the idea is the child can exchange their token for a book and not have to pay any money. So every single child that has a token could get a free book. Globally, it's UNESCO World Book Day, and yeah, the focus is very much on reading and the celebration of that. The biggest places that celebrate World Book Day are schools and nurseries, and it is an amazing opportunity for you to make a difference in your community and to really improve access to amazing books. The one thing I always find with the £1 books, they're not the best books your children are ever going to see. And I think while their idea is amazing to improve access to books, actually, I think it's important for children to have a broad choice of books, which they don't get in these World Book Day books. So through working with schools and nurseries, you're enabling all children, regardless of whether they can afford to buy a book or not, to have access to a range of books where they actually have choices about what they're reading, and their choice is greater than maybe 2 different books, and they have books with flaps or facts or great fiction or game books or whatever it might be that they're into. I think what you guys do, which is so important, is give them that choice that I don't feel they get from those £1 books. So what you do is absolutely critical through the free books that you can get for your community. So what can you offer? I think, again, the great thing about being a partner is you are not limited to what you can offer, and anything you can come up with in your head, you can offer. The most obvious is school events. So these would include things like book fairs, sponsored reads, author events. Nurseries are another educational establishment that have the pound tokens. Again, you can offer them. I mean, they're more space limited. But we might be lucky and get a warm March. So again, you can offer them the book fair, sponsored listens where they are paid, where they're sponsored to listen to stories to raise money for books for the nursery. Or I know a lot of partners go in and do story times as their kind of way of giving back to their local community and forging those connections. But you can also offer so many events outside of schools and nurseries. So, for example, you could organise a look for a book for World Book Day, where you connect with local businesses to sponsor books to hide around your local area. So you are giving children their own book to own. You could decide that you don't want to split the reading libraries up and have books for £1, and you want to go for really lovely, high quality books. The class sets would work really well for that for older children, or look at the special offers. So it might be that you want to do really special books for that. It might be that you live somewhere where there's an independent coffee shop, where you could have a celebration during the day where people could come with their children and celebrate World Book Day. I mean, you could even do something, I know lots of you run adult book clubs with them, or you could do a themed event or a baby and toddler group. There's opportunities are limitless. So I would just think, like, what time do you have? And what are you most comfortable with offering, and really focus on that. And if it's going to be your first World Book Day, really talk to your mentor and kind of use them for all their worth, to run your ideas past them and listen to their suggestions of what you could do. And I think don't limit yourself. Lots of people refer to World Book Day as the second Christmas, and that is exactly what it is for you. And people do phenomenal sales on World Book Day, and you absolutely could do that too. So, as I said, there is a video on these books, which, unless, my only question is whether this video is connected to something else, but marketing and planning, and they've not yet released it. But I have recorded a video nonetheless, where I lovingly talk you through all these books. So, your 2025 books. Now, we have decided to do something different this year. So, historically, we have done a selection of books, and there has been a £1 off each of those books. So that if people had a World Book Day token, they would therefore be able to get £2 off those books. However, we've changed our focus this year, and the reason for that is that, one, we're not convinced having a £1 off made that much of a difference to you guys in terms of your sales. And two, we really wanted to focus on, like, the core values of World Book Day and what it meant to us. And what it meant to us is this idea of all children having access to great quality books. So the focus this year is on packs of books. So we've got a pack for nurseries, a pack for primary, and a pack for secondary. And the 5 books you see in front of you will be on an offer price for the collection of 5 of them, with the view that all nurseries should have this selection of books for children to access and enjoy. So you will see we've got 10 10-minute bedtime stories. So those are classic tales like The Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland. Now I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but essentially they are classic tales that kind of start a child's, like, early literary education. You've got That's Not My Book for sensory awareness and development. You've got an All About You and Your Body, for that really important early years education about, like, your right to your own body and your control over it, and that celebration of all bodies being different, and celebrating diversity. You've got a phonics reader, those early reading skills. My son has just turned 3. He's literally just moved up to the preschool class at nursery, and already he's doing phonics. So they are doing those things really early on. And again, one of my son's particular favourite series, Peep Inside How a Helicopter Works. Absolutely fascinating for children that are just really interested in the world around them, how things work. And we know we sell a lot of vehicle-based books because children just have this fascination with them and how they work. So again, it's like nurturing those early interests in the world and how it works. Then we have got our selection for primary schools. So we have got 100 Things to Know About Sport, which I think you'll all agree is an absolute crowd pleaser. I was at an event on Friday at an all-boys school with Darlene Martinelda, and this was definitely one of the most picked up books, and one of the ones when I asked children what they were interested in, the amount of them that said sport was unbelievable, and they loved the format of this book. So I think no primary would be complete without 100 Things to Know. Another of my favourite series, which also went down really, really well at the book fair, the 24 Hours series. So the one in this book bundle is Space, one that I know lots of our school sellers are huge fans of, which is the Beginners series. And it's bugs that's the focus, mainly due to the fact that a lot of schools have forest schools, particularly in the early years. And again, children just have this natural fascination with bugs. On the idea, the recent trend that I keep seeing at school events, I know lots of you do too, of spooky books and spooky stories. Again, kids were talking about that. On Friday, we've got The Haunting of Aveline Jones, which is a bit more of a like unisex read, I would say, than Shadow Hall Academy. And finally, another crowd pleaser, Billy and the Mini Monsters, for the younger readers amongst the primary school readers. And again, great for reluctant readers as well. Finally, secondaries. We have got a selection of fiction and non-fiction. So firstly, we've got Hollyborn's You Could Be So Pretty, an amazing dystopian take on the world that we live in. Hit, which I think is our best-selling fiction book of all time. Again, kids were buying this on Friday. Even though they had it on the library, in the library at the school, they still wanted their own copy. Business for Beginners. Again, this series sells so well, and again, really great for engaging, I think, particularly male readers that wouldn't necessarily see themselves as a reader, but it's just because they don't like fiction, but actually they can really engage with this. 100 Things to Know About the Unknown, because again, we couldn't not have 100 Things book in that. So you'll be pleased to know this is coming back in stock, because we've ordered lots of it for this. And also This Book Kills, which has been a real standout YA thriller, I think equally popular with boys and girls. My 14-year-old niece is one of her all-time favourite Usborne books, and it's just phenomenal. I think, again, if you're running an adult book club, this could be quite a good pack to share with them as well. So that is the secondary school book bundle. We are also running a World Book Day competition. So this is your exclusive announcement for tonight. So again, historically, we have done an author giveaway where one school and one school only wins an author event if they book an event with an independent Usborne partner before Christmas. This year, we have got 150 goodie bags, so they'll be containing things like posters, postcards, bookmarks, like chapter samplers, for any school in UK or Ireland who books a World Book Day event with a partner before the end of the year. So if you have a school that's already booked an event with you, you can fill out a form and enter them into the competition. And I think it is the first 150 schools that apply actually get the goodie bags. So it is first come, first served, and once they're gone, they're gone. Then the goodie bags will be posted directly to the school. A blog, marketing have told me, will be going live 9 a.m. tomorrow with the social asset to promote this. And you'll also get an email explaining everything to do with this. This is also going to be a page on the Usborne website as well that schools can see. So if they're not connected with a partner, they'll know that in order to win this, they need to book an event with you guys. Also, we have got lots of World Book Day resources. So this is not live yet, but every year we have a dedicated section of the Usborne website, and it will feature all the 2025 books. And each of the books will have activities that schools can do alongside them. They usually tend to be written in such a way that schools can easily do them without having read the books, with the idea that will encourage them to want to buy the books from you. And it will also highlight all the events that schools can have with you. So it's a really good reason to get in contact with a school, reason to send that email, reason to reconnect with a school, to share this amazing resource with them. Tools and Downloads is an absolute treasure trove of information, and there are lots of different videos recorded by independent husband partners just like you about World Book Day, and lots of tips and ideas of how you can celebrate it. And every year marketing update the documents with new World Book Day branding, which is always very exciting. And I know Rianne is working through all that as we speak. And finally, I want to do a shout out for Usborne's YouTube channel. There are so many videos on that channel, including lots of author videos of authors talking about their books, I think would be perfect for school assemblies. So again, this is the added service that you provide. Scholastic are not emailing schools to tell them about resources that they can, like activities that they can do with their class on World Book Day. They're not emailing them to provide them with author videos that they can share in assemblies. This is what you're doing. And again, this is why you should be contacting schools, send them an email with all this information, and then follow up with a phone call asking if they received your email, recommending all the resources, and trying to get an event booked in as well. The £1 voucher. Realise this is a lot of information I'm imparting, but if you really want to treat yourself, it's recorded, isn't it? So you can watch it all over again. Schools and nurseries in the UK and Ireland can register to receive a World Book Day pack. This includes resources and tokens for their pupils. I think historically, primary schools automatically got sent them and nurseries and secondary schools had to register for them. But when I looked at the website, it looks like all schools have to register for the vouchers. So again, it's another reason to get in contact with your local schools to make sure that they do this. I don't know if this has happened in previous years, but it's the first time I've really noticed it. And that is that home educators and childminders can register to receive a digital token pack. Again, you can accept tokens in digital form. So I think, again, that's something to really flag. If you are a home educator, share it with your community. If you're not, then maybe look for home education Facebook groups that you can share this with, just so they're aware that they can access these vouchers and packs. And I know lots of you work with childminders, so it's worth reminding that. If you are based in the UK, you can accept £1 tokens off any Usborne book. So it's not restricted. Any Usborne book, you can accept a £1 token off. The final thing to leave you with before I hand over to Rachel, who has hopefully made it back from her school event that she was doing, is that World Book Day is the perfect time to start relationships that you can use year after year after year. I know some partners that have been working with the same schools for more than 10 years because they forged that relationship once. You might have a continuous event every year in your local community that you start this year, and then people love it so much you can run it year after year after year. So it is all about putting that work in now, because it won't just reward you this year, it will reward you every year thereafter in your business. And I think the first moment of relationship building is always going to be the hardest, but once you have that relationship, it's going to pay dividends year after year after year. So that was a lot of information. I'm going to stop sharing. It's been weird not seeing anyone's face at all while I've been talking.
Lucy.
Oh, amazing, Rachel. It was going to be very dramatic, and you're home. You're not even having to do it on the side of a road. The ultimate commitment, I will say, from Rachel, that she was prepared to pull over at the side of the road to deliver this because she's been out of school until 7 o'clock tonight, which does make her the perfect person to talk to you all about World Book Day. So I'm going to hand over to Rachel now, and then there'll be time for questions at the end. So if you've got any questions on anything I've said, or you want more information, or you have any questions for Rachel, then please do ask them. There is no such thing as a stupid question at all. If you're thinking it, 100% someone else is thinking it. So do ask away. So I'm gonna spotlight you, Rachel. And thank you, Laura, for letting everyone in while I was talking. So I'm going to make you the co-host, Rachel, and I'm gonna spotlight you.
Oh my. Thank you. Excuse me. I have to say, I have to preface this with I may have been to a school event tonight and have done plenty of World Book Day stuff, but I am not a top school seller. I have a lot to learn from my peers still, but that's what these calls are for. Um, so Lucy asked me to talk to you about what I've done for World Book Day before. So I started to look at what I did this year. And then I went down a rabbit hole and was looking at volume in previous years and how this year had compared to last year and et cetera, et cetera. This year, I was extremely disappointed that my children's own school did nothing for World Book Day. They didn't even do a dress down day. Oh, thanks, Nicola. They didn't even do a dress down day. I was pretty furious, to be honest. And it led me to rally the troops, the other school mums, and kind of gauge whether or not people would be interested in some kind of community event next World Book Day 2025. So we've since moved house, but I may still do it because I think that it's really important. I also think that from a business point of view, it would really cement me within this community, and my old community was still only 20 minutes apart as the book lady. And I just think it's really important to celebrate this with the children. So watch this space for that one. That will be completely not school related, but I'm determined that the children need to celebrate World Book Day. So going back to 24, my birthday, inconveniently, is the 8th of March. So some years I'm like just not working that day because it's my business, my way. Thankfully, oh no, it did fall on a weekday this year. It was on the Friday. So I blocked that one off. And the other 4 days, I was fair game to take on all of the bookings. The majority came in before Christmas. I think there was only one that came in after Christmas. And I thought that I would share where my leads had come from as well, in case that inspires anybody or kind of gets you thinking about things. So the first one, Monday, the 4th of March, was a school book fair. It was a primary book fair, and in what was my half term, but not their half term, I had gone and launched an RSR in their assembly as well. Now, this came about because I had worked with a school an hour away from me twice. I'd done a book fair with them twice, and they were part of a larger educational trust. On the second occasion that I was there, the director of education for the whole trust happened to be there as well and was like, "Oh, you're here for a book fair. Can I just leave you my card because I've just opened a brand new school, big kind of military community, brand new school, and this is exactly what I would like at that school as well." So I have since worked with another one in that trust, and I have an inquiry about a fourth one. So we're trying to set that up for sometime this academic year. So this particular school that he was talking about was even further away. And I kind of, you've always got to weigh up, haven't you, about the kind of travel time, the childcare that you've got to do yourself to get to these events. But I sat down and I worked it out, and oh my God, it was worth the risk. I've tried hard today to find volume for each of the events that I'm going to talk about, and I cannot find the RSR result, but it was about £1,000 from what I can remember. So then I went back to this school on Monday, the 4th of March. We did a book fair. It was their second book fair by this point, and it was about £100 less than the first one had been. It came in at 625. So I got them into their £600. So I was really happy with that. Now, because they are an hour and a half away from me, I went down for the launch, I went down for the book fair. I was not going down for the delivery as well. So I recommended that that it would take them 2 hours to sort out that volume of books. And very cleverly, they recruited a PTA member. They put a shout out on their Facebook page, and they asked for a parent who might come in and help them to sort out all the books when they delivered. But I think the key there was to manage their expectations. I was telling them that I couldn't be there, but I was also telling them it was going to take them 2 hours. I think, to be honest, if I hadn't told them that, I would have had a slightly annoyed head because she wouldn't have realized what work was involved in that. Now, I always make sure that all of their wish lists go onto a spreadsheet. So it was book, price, child, class. So they could reconcile all of the books as they were taking them out of the delivery. What was left was their free book allowance. And it worked really well. Now, for every school book fair and school RSR that I do, I send out a Google form for feedback afterwards. I think this is really important, but it also gives you content for testimonials. And I always say in the email that I'm keen to make sure that the service I'm offering is a good service and it's what they're looking for and what can I improve upon next time. And I feel like that makes them rebook because they know that I care, that I'm not just there to make some money once and then run. So that was Monday the 4th. Tuesday the 5th was something very different for me. Now, it's the only time I've worked with a secondary still. Louise, can I share the form? Yeah, of course. Yeah. Lucy, can you tell me at the end, please, how I can do that? How I can,
Yeah,
where's
that's
the
fine. And
link
if
to send that?
I'll ask you all the questions at the end, Rachel, so don't worry about answering them as we're going through.
Cool. Okay, thanks. So the 5th of March was a secondary event. It was completely bespoke. I had a librarian contact me and say she was finding a certain niche of kids really difficult to reach. And they spent a certain period of, it's not, wasn't like a free period, but it was something like that. And they had to spend it in the library. And she wanted to take that opportunity to reach these kids and to get them excited about reading. So, of course, I went in with Shadow Chaser. Um, and it was aimed at year 7 and it was mainly boys. And it led to a very small order. But honestly, for this one, it was one that wasn't about the money. It was about me being able to be more creative. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good experience because it was secondary, whereas everything else I've done has been primary or first school. And so what I did was I took the book along, and if you have a look at the free resources that we have on our websites, there are some activity packs that I was able to put together for each of the children who came along. Now, top tip, especially for newer partners, is if there's any printing to be done, send it to the school. Don't do that yourself. They fully expect to do the printing for stuff like this. They don't expect you to do it for them. And they can do it so, so much cheaper. So these packs were already ready for me when I got there. And basically, it was as simple as starting the story. And as a group, we decided which direction the story took us in. So for those of you who might not be familiar with Shadow Chaser, it's a game book. You need dice at some point. You need a pen and paper because you need to keep a score. And it's just super interactive. So that was my idea to the librarian that this might be the most engaging book for those boys. And it was so well received by everybody. We died quite quickly, but they all thought it was hilarious. And I offered a prize out for, was it designing? It's something that's just on our websites, but I think it was for designing a book cover. And then there's a second activity, so I offered a second prize. But it was really good, and I would encourage any of you to have a look at doing something creative like that. Just ask them what they want and go from there. And your mentor will be there to kind of come up with ideas if you're struggling as well. That lead for that event came from networking. So I run, and I know I'm not the only leader who does this, I run a business network, which is fortnightly, it's ladies only, it's over breakfast. I think we charge £6 and you get a hot drink and a croissant. Because half of us haven't had time for breakfast because we're getting the kids out the door. And that's why we made it ladies only, because we kind of have different challenges to the blokes. And that network, that lead came from my network. I don't know how helpful that is. I mean, even if you didn't want to run your own network, there are loads of existing business networks that you can maybe go along to. And I find that mostly what I get from that is schools leads. Um, Wednesday, the 6th of March, they cancelled their event. I was furious. This was the day before World Book Day. I ended up with a bit of a Brucey bonus day where I was sorting through orders and deliveries and stuff from previous weeks. But I was a bit of annoyed because I could have made money on that day. When they cancelled, I did put it out on Facebook with a very positive spin on it that I'd had a last minute cancellation and, I was available if anybody needed anything. And it didn't come to anything, but it could have. So I would definitely say that if anybody gets a cancellation, to consider doing that. Then the Thursday, the day of World Book Day, I had a primary book fair. I had worked with that primary before. We'd had a really successful book fair. However, they had since done a poverty proofing survey with the parents, and they were the cancellation in a way. They changed my 2-day book fair, where I would have been in school for all of those 2 days. The children would have been coming and going. There would have been a real buzz about it. And I always do some stickers with the Usborne balloon like that. And it says, I visited the Usborne Book Fair today. Really easy to create. And it's a visual cue when the children leave school at the end of the day that they've been to the book fair, and it reminds the parents or the carers who are picking them up. Didn't get to do any of that in this case because they only wanted me in before school and after school. So it wasn't particularly successful. Previously, I think they had raised about 700, 800 pounds from their book fair. And on this occasion, they raised 225 pounds. And I felt a little bit robbed because I love getting dressed up on World Book Day. I cannot be the only one who enjoys a bit of dress up on World Book Day. I have previously, Laura Wardle is waving at me, so I think she gets dressed up as well. I have previously I've done 2 events on World Book Day and have been dressed as a dinosaur and have needed petrol between the events and got out and filled my car up completely forgetting that I was dressed as a dinosaur. So I felt robbed that I was only there before school and after school and had no contact with the kids. So it felt a little bit unnecessary to get dressed up. So I didn't, you'll be pleased to know. I would have just looked like a bit of a plonker. But that was a bit frustrating this year, but in previous years has been amazing. And then Friday was my birthday, so I deliberately took that one off. But I had also, in the background, I had 2 virtual RSRs on the go. Well, one was an RSR, Ready Steady Read, and one was a Ready Steady Listen for a nursery, a first school, a nursery. Now, these were worth the comfort zone stretch, leap into the unknown. I am not technical at all. And I remember it being on my to-do list in my diary week after week after week to set up a YouTube channel. And I just kept like going through my to-do list and doing everything apart from that and putting it off. And eventually I did bite the bullet and I created a YouTube channel, which was so easy. And then following a leadership academy where we had a Instagram influencer come and talk to us, and she talked about the importance of a tripod. And I was like, well, this is really simple. Why haven't I thought of this before? When I'm trying to do a flick through with my phone and one hand just for my Facebook page. So the tripod was a bit of a game changer. And it also meant that I could record my Ready Steady Read launch. And I did it. I set up a load of books behind me on a rack, which I thought were really good examples of the kind of things that would engage the children. And I did a RSR based at a primary level, and I did an RSL based at a nursery level. And I recorded these videos. And it meant suddenly that I was able to reach a nursery or a school way outside of my geographical area. And that's exactly what happened in one case. So the nursery was way down south somewhere. I'm in Northumberland. The school was quite local, but I think I had a booking on the day that they wanted me. So I offered them that as an alternative and they jumped at it. Um, and on an so in this occasion, I had these two running in the background, and the first school raised £724, and the nursery raised £307. That actually went into my next month volume, into my April volume. But I had on another occasion an infant school down south who did a virtual RSR and raised £1,700. I was gobsmacked. I had recorded a video and sent them a link, and I made 20% commission on £1,700. I mean, I'm not saying that it required no work, it absolutely did. But it required me to get their order and place their order and tell them that they were going to have to deal with it when it was delivered to them. So it's not the hardest I've ever worked for that commission, I have to say. And it was absolutely worth me pushing way out of my comfort zone to set up the YouTube channel and to record that video. Trying to think where those leads came from, actually. So the primary school that cancelled on me and took it down to like a before and after school, that was also through networking. The virtual RSR was me persistently emailing local schools every month. Sometimes they can jump straight away. Sometimes it takes 8 months. But it's absolutely worth continuing to email month after month with something different every time, because eventually something you say will hook them in. And that's what happened with that one. The nursery was, as a member of the business development program, I was eligible for leads, whereby this nursery had contacted head office, and then head office puts out that lead to all members of BDP. We bid for them, and I won that lead, contacted the nursery, and that's how that Ready Steady Listen came about. So another wonderful perk of being in the business development program. Now, for looking ahead, in 5.5 months' time for World Book Day 25, I have 3 available days still. My birthday is a weekend. It's not an issue this time. 3 available days and 2 bookings on Wednesday the 5th, Thursday the 6th, which is World Book Day this time. Now, Wednesday the 5th is the school who's an hour and a half away, so they rebooked in really quickly. Thursday the 6th is a school that I worked with 2 years ago, and I have emailed every month in that time, assumed that the teacher had even left, and she's finally come back to me. So tenacity really does pay, or being a pain in the bum, either way you see it. But I have to say as well, as a little tip, was that I sent out a Google form in the summer term, and I listed what my availability was, and it was literally a checkbox exercise. And the reason I did it that way was because I know that schools are so busy in the summer term. So it was literally just open up this Google form, tell me what school you're from, tick which day suits you, or I think they were all for this term that we're in now, or I would prefer a World Book Day slot. I sent it out in the summer term. I got nothing. I sent it out again in week 1 of the autumn term, and I got 2 bookings. I barely had to edit it, and I got 2 bookings. So I think making it as simple as possible for schools is key. I think they're very busy. This half term, not as busy, but come kind of after October half term, and they're going to be super busy in the lead up to Christmas. So I think just getting out a form that makes their life very easy, and they can just check a box or 2, and then you can respond to them, and it's no longer a cold email, is maybe the way forward. It might work, it might not. Nicola's saying it worked for her. That's me, Lucy. That's me done. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you so much. And just to say, Rachel really played herself down. The reason I asked Rachel is statistically her sales were really good last World Book Day and are consistently good in
Thank
school. So
you.
it wasn't a random request because I like Rachel.
Thank
Statistically, she's
you.
very good. So there were quite a few questions, Rachel. I think one of the things to point out, which is why we're doing this session now, is as Rachel said, she got most of her bookings before Christmas. It
Yeah.
is not too early at all to be getting your bookings in. Again, the school I was at on Friday, they had booked their World Book Day event with Darlene already. So like schools are booking their events and
Yeah.
you definitely want them to book with you. And like Rachel said, she's already got 2 bookings for World Book Day, and we're
I'd
in
rather be
October.
in a position where I'm booked up and they do cancel than I'm scrapping around in February to try and get some bookings.
So
Although I don't want to cancel.
questions are dum 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 dum. Okay, people are enjoying the selection of books, so that is good. Um, mm, 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 mm. Okay, so we've had a question about sharing the form. I think, yeah, we'll work out some way of doing that. I don't know whether you could actually put it in the chat if you had it. So then people on this that have come live can access the form. How many questions do you ask in your Google form? Is a question we've had.
Is that the feedback
I
form
think that's in
or is
relation to
that
the
the
feedback
booking,
form. I
the
think that's the
feedback?
feedback
Is
form.
it further up the questions? Um, I do a 0 to 10 because again, make it as easy as possible for them. Um, so it's oh, am I able to open it up while I'm on with you?
Yeah, you can share screen.
Let me see. Should be quick enough to
And you're a
find.
co-host, so you should be able to
Oh,
share.
it's open already. Hang on. Okay, so I'll go back into my Zoom and I'll share screen. More. It's not obvious. Video audio.
Are you looking to share screen?
Yeah,
If you look at the bottom,
yeah.
like there should be the green share button at the bottom of your screen.
Okay, yeah, I'm there.
I was saying at the start of this video, which I'm sure was really enjoyable for
Ah,
everyone, how much they've changed Zoom and all the buttons.
can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so there are my questions. Um, there they are. So that's how do, there, that's better on the summary. How did you find the initial conversation? Was it easy to understand the process, timescales, and how much you would be involved to make the event successful? That was must have been a short answer, that one. How well do you think the event was organised by me? 0 to 5. How happy were you with the level of involvement you had? 0 to 5. Did you feel there were enough materials to support the event or was something missing? Did the book fair work well or what would you like to see next time? How easily did you find the process for the children to browse? What, if anything, would you change? How easily did you find the process for parents to pay and order? I always do order rather than selling stock. What, if anything, would you change? How easily did you find ordering your books? How likely are you to recommend a Wiggly Worms Book Co. book fair to a colleague in another school? That's an important one because that will jog their memory to do so. And thank you so much for your time. Do you have any other comments or feedback that I may use as a testimonial? You will be back. Excuse me. So yeah, that's there. Hope that's helpful.
Thank you, Rachel. And just to say, while we're looking at this, I think what Rachel said was really important about like managing expectations. I think people often really worry about people's perception of them. But I think if you're clear, like it is fine to send the books directly to a school and explain how the process would work. It is fine to ask for a PTA member to help you. It is fine to do anything if you're clear and explain things. The event I was at on Friday, the librarian had previously used Scholastic, and when she talked through what she had to do, it was insane. So she had to obviously set all the book fair up. She didn't want all the tat that came with it. So she then removed all of that. She then had to, they didn't have enough copies of the books for everyone to take one each. So she then had to create her own form, send it home to the kids with a list of all the books, get their parents to approve stuff. She then collected all the money, collected all the forms, had to then order all the books, then match all the books to the kids, then pick her free books. And honestly, like the hours of work
Yeah.
this librarian had to do for that, and then she had to do nothing for Darlene other than be there. So I think, yeah, it just shows like anything you ask is going to be significantly less as well than anything else. I also thought it was super useful what you were saying, Rachel, about where you got your leads from and all the different places. I think that's massively useful for people to know. Can you give some examples of what you say when you follow up with schools? I struggle to think of something new to say every time.
Following up, as in my monthly emails, do you think?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
There's so much content that's given to us really by head office. Um, so the new nursery packs, first colouring book for Christmas, that's on my list to send out to nurseries this week, because they make really good Christmas gifts. So I was going to send that. Where's my diary? What was the one I was going to send out to schools this week? I cannot remember, but I'm now going to be sending out the World Book Day competition. So there's something else handed to us by head office. The fact that schools and nurseries may now have to register for World Book Day tokens. There's the content of an email to send out straight away. Author events. So I wouldn't just talk about every possible thing we can do for schools in one email. I'd be breaking it into different emails. So I'd be talking about author events and in particular authors that I might have met, or so I've met several authors and seen their presentations at Leadership Academy as part of the business development program. But I have also led a Jenny Pearson event because she's local to me. So that was really easy. That was a really easy sell. It is easy for any schools in the Northeast because Jenny's local, and actually there's a lot of authors where it's quite expensive. Their travel costs are quite expensive to come up to the Northeast because none of them are based here. So I can talk about what Jenny does at a book fair, and I can talk about the other authors that I've seen. So I'd save that all for one email. I have also emailed schools about recruitment to see if there's any members of staff or a PTA member who might be interested in joining Usborne, and I've outlined what the savings might be for them if they did that. So there's honestly, the majority of what I email out is given to us by head office. So thanks, Lucy.
And I think that's the thing. I think people always think they need to reinvent the wheel, and you don't.
Yeah.
Like the stuff is there for you to take it. So there will be a World Book Day page that will go live pre-Christmas that you can share. There's a new author events brochure that you can share. Like Rachel said, there's the nurseries pack. There's the class sets that you might want to share.
Yeah, that's a good one.
There's so many things that you could share with a school. I would also say phoning them. I know it might be massively out of people's comfort zones, but schools do have receptionists. Not all of them are scary, and you will get someone will pick up the phone. Like that, they're not going to ignore a phone call. They might ignore an email, but they won't ignore a phone call. That you can then follow up, or you could phone to ask if they've seen your email.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, like Rachel said, there's so much. You don't have to make it up yourself. And you could even look on like their website or see if you can find out what their topics are and email them with recommendations for topic books. My daughter is in year one. They're currently doing castles. So other schools in year one might also be doing castles. Everyone knows the Great Fire of London. It's a classic.
That's actually what these events have been to. Sorry, the event that I've been to tonight and tomorrow and Thursday are exactly that. It's getting the parents in to tell them what topics and themes are being covered this year by each of their classes. So I've had books there that tie into those themes. Castles is a strong one.
which is also ingenious because I work for Usborne and I've still been meaning to buy Poppy a Castles book and I still haven't managed to. And I literally work for a children's publisher. So the amount of parents that I think would appreciate that ease of here's the topic, here's a
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
Um, what did you do in terms of video slash contact for a virtual RSR? So what sort of things do you say in your video that you record?
Oh, so as I launch my RSR in an assembly, I said exactly the same things in the video. So, oh my goodness. I ask them if they know what a challenge is, and I still do this on the video, and I feel really silly talking to a screen that isn't talking back at me, but it works at the other end. And when I play it back, I can see that it would work. You can edit 100 times before you make it live. Um, and also, it's worth saying you don't need any fancy software or anything for this. It's very easy to do. Um, but I ask them if they know what a challenge is, and then I say that I've got a challenge for them, and I just talk about reading as many books as you can, and that it doesn't just have to be books, and that it can be recipes or magazines or comics or road signs or menus or, just stuff in their everyday life, but that every time they're reading, that they should ask their grown-ups for some money. And I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what it is that I say, but it's basically you outline what the challenge is, you outline what the sponsorship element of it is, and then you tell them that they're getting forms to take home in their bag. But I go through the books that are behind me and I get them excited about the books and I link all of that in. So you need to go away and read and raise some money, and then you're going to have these books at your school.
And what did you do? So you send them the video, and then what else did you do for the school?
I wouldn't send that out as like a cold thing. That would be I can do a ready steady read, and these are the benefits of a ready steady read, or listen for you. And I wait until they say yes, and then if they're local, I'm like, great, making arrangements to go and present in their assembly. If they're not local, or they are but I can't make it, great. I have a video here for you, and you can play it in assembly or you can play it class by class, whatever works for you.
And then once they've launched with that, what else do you do with them?
Um, we'd agree the timings, so we'd agree on what the launch date would be. I always recommend doing it Monday to Friday. I don't know what other people would recommend. I once had a school do it over a half term and it was an absolute disaster. I think they need to be in the school with daily prompting to read. But I also offer loads of ideas, which I think I've just gathered over the years, and also looking on Facebook groups for various school groups, teacher groups, PTA groups, gathering up all of these ideas of how to make reading fun. Things like whenever the school bell rings, then you have to stop and read, or having a little teepee in the corner of the school hall, making it all lovely, a little book nook, and it's never allowed to be empty. And so all of these little things that can run during the Monday to Friday of an RSR.
There's also stuff and tools and downloads as well. There's a reading bingo that you
Yes,
can
that's a
do,
good
like a
one.
reading fortune teller.
Yes, this is excellent. Girls love this. They love it. Year two upwards, the girls are all about these fortune tellers.
So yeah, so there's loads of stuff. And do you recommend how much to sponsor each child in RSR or RSL?
No, I don't personally. I'd be interested if anybody else does, but no. Schools are from all different economic areas. No.
I
I
think
offer a prize. So I tell them that they can have a prize for the child who reads the most. Very clear about that. Not, oh, apparently I've switched to a different language according to my Zoom settings. Hopefully everyone can still understand me. But I always say that I will reward the child who's read the most, not raised the most. And I just offer up a prize from my free book allowance for that.
I know some people do work out the number of kids in the school and will say if each of them raised £1, like how much they would raise. So you can go really small, or if each of them
Yeah,
raised
that's a good
£2, but like
idea.
rate was like really small amounts. So there's no pressure because you will always get some children that will raise significantly more than others, won't you?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and there's a question about where's your top from?
Free books for your children. Ask me how. Uh, yeah, I think she's gone out of business now, but just a t-shirt company, like a small business t-shirt company, but easy enough to find another one, eBay or Etsy or something like that. I also have a bright green hoodie with exactly the same design on, but I'm getting too warm now. My kids have them too, but it says free books for your children, ask my mummy, and they have their names on here.
See, that's ingenious. My aunt and uncle had a clock company when I was younger, and they had all the merchandise. And I do remember like feeling quite humiliated at about the age of 9, like wandering around with like a Hawkins Clock Company hat on and hating life. But I'm sure your children love it.
I actually do love it.
um, da, da, da. Um, mm,
Oh, it's nice to see that people are having successful RSRs over school holidays. I'm really pleased to see that. Maybe I just didn't, maybe it was just mine.
So I have a few questions for you in case anyone else, we've not got long left. So if you've got a question, then do ask it now. But my question is, what would be your must-have books that you would always take with you for a book fair, or you would choose to show in your RSR assemblies or videos?
Oh, um, I love the 24 hours in. Love those. Because I think they're graphic novels, more fact-based graphic novels, and they're pitched younger. Um, I think you need a good middle grade fiction to take along as well. And I think at the minute I would choose one of our spooky titles for that. Uh, hmm. a look inside, whether it was, is it called Look Inside Sport? I'm sure, or football. There's Look Inside Football. I got that for Freddie for his birthday. That's a good one. Also think it appeals to boys. I wouldn't take that and this one. I probably have one or the other 50 football skills. That's excellent. Oh God, I'm missing plenty. You need a good range of fact books because not everybody likes fiction. I'd probably go for the flags, the spotters cards, because I think they're brilliant and it's good to showcase that we don't just do books. I like a listen and read, and I would like to appeal for more listen and reads. I think they're great for toddlers in the back of the car. I think they're great as basically an audiobook at bedtime. But I feel like stock levels have kind of narrowed a lot on those ones. I've just had one of the really strong themes in schools across early years, Key Stage 1 and 2, is traditional tales. So I took along various examples of that. And one of them was Three Little Pigs, Listen and Read tonight, as well as the Advent bookshelf, because that is basically a load of traditional tales in there, as well as a couple of Christmassy titles.
And my final question to you is, what would you tell yourself, like however many years ago, when you did your first World Book Day, that you didn't know then, but you do now? Or what would you tell anyone that's going to do their first World Book Day? They're maybe feeling nervous or they're not sure what to expect or what to do. What would you
Say
say
yes and then
to them?
figure it out.
Which is
Definitely.
a good
Say
tip.
yes and then figure it out.
And what would you say to people that are feeling deflated because they've been contacting schools and they've not been getting any replies?
Definitely keep going because, like I say, I've had 2 years, this woman ghosted me and she's come back and got the golden booking of World Book Day because I happen to have it available and she's local as well. She's not that far away, so it works for me. Um, but keep going because sometimes you can get a response immediately and sometimes apparently it takes 2 years. Just keep adding to your effectively your distribution list. Keep adding school email addresses onto that and copy and paste that into your BCC field when you're sending out school emails monthly.
Oh, and final question is, the schools I've worked with have only wanted me to sell from stock. How do I approach the placing orders instead?
See, I've never done a big book fair where you sell from stock, but I think a lot of schools are used to that because that's the scholastic way of doing things. So I would probably go in and talk about all the other reasons that we're better than scholastic, and that actually, and this is what I say to the children on the day, you're going to get a brand new copy all of your own that nobody else has touched. Some of my demo books are borrowed off my own children's bookshelves, and I put a little pink sticker on the corner of them so that I know that they're theirs and they go back on their bookshelves. But some of these books are really well thumbed, and I would just tell them they are getting a brand new book of their own.
I think the other thing to flag with schools potentially is I know, yeah, literally what Vicky's just said about lots of
Yeah,
children can order the same book. I think it works both ways, doesn't it? Like
yeah,
people will buy what you've got. So if you like, people will be able to choose something from what you've got. So if
yeah,
you're selling from stock and you sell out of something, people will choose something else to buy. But if you're doing order only, all of them could choose the exact same book, and that's fine. You can do that. So I think you can skew it whatever way you want, whether you want to sell from stock or you want to do order only. There's a good reason for either. And I think, yeah, what Rachel said is a brand new book that no one else has touched. And also, if them and their friends all want the same book, they
which
can.
always happens.
I went to one book fair. The kids were hiding books. I didn't realize kids did it because they wanted that particular book and they were hiding them. Stacey couldn't find one of them, so it'd been a good hiding place. Um, so yeah, and I think Michelle agrees with what Rachel had said early on about kind of just that clarity of communication. If you explain to them, this is how I run a book fair, it's order, it's order only, allows all the children to have the same book if they want to, and it's just how you do it. And to be honest, even Scholastic, the librarian I met, she ended up doing that anyway, all by herself, because they couldn't provide the number, like the exact number of the same copies. I think she said they provided 3 of each different book. So only 3 children could have had it anyway. Oh, and one final question. Do you do wish lists for children's book
I
fairs? Does
do.
anyone look first?
I do, and I find that the most effective book fairs where I make the most money in the big orders is when the children have come through during the day. And it's worth saying I stand up and talk to each group as they come in. So I manage their expectation that they will have to wait up to 2 weeks for their books to come in. But all of the children are going to get their books at the same time. They'll be in a lovely bag for them with their name on, and it'll be really exciting on delivery day. So I talk to them about that, but I can also be a little bit tough because I've been asked before why I'm not a teacher because I had one year 6 class that were throwing the books around, and I told them to line up at the door. They were done. Not having them treating the books like that.
Thank you so much, Rachel. So many tips and ideas. Thank you for sharing your Google form with us. And thank you to all of you for coming and watching and taking the time from your evenings to like focus on your business and to focus on what you can do for World Book Day, which is super exciting. So thank you so much again, Rachel. So many ideas for people to take away. Thank you to everyone else for also your ideas in the comments. And thank you to everyone that asked a question as well. That was really, really helpful. And yeah, wishing you a very successful World Book Day in however many months' time. Thank you, everyone, and good night.